Alright, with this video I'm going to quickly show you an overview of what all the Data Center Manager app can do so far. So diving right in, let me show you IP address management. I'm going to click on IPv4 and this is where I'm going to be able to add my block of IP addresses. So I'm going to add a fictitious block here. Click add IPv4 block and you'll see from here it'll show you the block address, which locations it's at, and how many you have free. So you can also click here to see each individual IP and where it's assigned to. I don't have any systems here, so it's not assigned to any. There's a search feature. You can quickly search if you got a bunch of IPs and you want to quickly get to one to manage it. You just type the end address and it pops up. Like say if I want to hit 4, you'll see it'll pop up to 4 and take you there. There's also a filter where you can filter by assigned and unassigned. And there's a little ping tool that I wrote in there that you can quickly click on that to see if it's ping times, how fast it's responding. This is basically the IP address management. So let me get back to Data Center Manager here and let me show you systems. Okay, for managing systems, what I want to do is click on systems. Simple enough. Now let's add some systems up here. I'm going to click on add new, and first thing I'm going to do is add a router. I'm going to call it Cisco 1. I'm not going to assign a domain, but let's give it IPv4. This is going to show all my IP addresses that I have available. Let's add a couple servers here. Let's one server 1. Magic, we're going to get it at 5. Add that. It's online. Add new system server. SRVR2. Magic.net. IP6. Add one more here. SRVR3. Net. IPv7. Okay, now that I got my systems in here, let's say you have a bunch of them and you want to search for one, you can search up here, which will quickly have a drop down so you can access whatever system you want to get to. Over here it shows when it's added, the IP address assigned to it. There's a filter right here. Let's filter by system name ascending. So now it's in order of the system names. Let's say I want to manage one of these. I'm going to click on the system, and it's going to take me to the system manager. Now you'll see there's quite a bit you can manage from here. Let me go back and click on the router though and see if it's a router. It's completely different. It doesn't have operating system. It doesn't have a lot of other options, hardware. From here, let me go back to, well, first I want to add operating systems. So you'll notice if you don't have any operating systems, there's a link right here that says click here to add operating systems. You can also do this by going to the software from the home page. Okay, from here let's add some software. I'm going to go up here and click on the link for it, and there's a link up top, add new software. So let's add some server software, and let's start off with some Linux. Let's say Linux Debian version 7. It is an operating system, so I'm going to check that. Now, I hit add new software. Let's add some Microsoft. Yes, it has licensing. Microsoft Server 2008. Let's say R2 Web. And this is an operating system, but I'm not going to check it just so you can see. If you screw up, you just click manage, and it will let you check it here. It also gives you a quantity. Say you have like 3 copies of this, and it's valued at what, 500 each. The purchase price, monthly price, install fee, that's for your customers. If you want to set, if you offer this license to your customers, you can set it there, and it'll show up on your website if you're using Magic Technologies. I'm going to click update software, and let's add one more. You'll see that now changed to an OS. Let's add SQL. 2008 R2, call it standard. Not an operating system, I don't check that. Hit add standard. Okay, now I've got my software added here, and let me show you. If you go to the home page here, you'll see that now that I have my counts and my values set for the software, it's going to, if I go to the data center manager, you'll see that I set it at 500. So 500 times 3 is 1500. It automatically will give you an overview of how much, you know, your hardware is worth and how much your software is worth. Okay, let's assign this software to some systems and show you a bit how licensing works. So I'm going to go up to systems here and click there, and let's click on server 1 here, and let's say this one has Debian installed. So I'm going to click update, and you'll see to the right here, this is what licensing is, but since this one doesn't use licensing, this is what you're going to see. So let me assign Microsoft to server 2 here so you can see how licensing works. So I'm going to choose server 2008, hit update, and I'm going to add a fictitious license here. Add license, and you'll see, now if you get to your system manager, you'll see which license is installed on it. Now software, this is going to be down here in these tabs here. You'll see, let me first show you IP addresses. This is just going to show you what IP addresses are assigned to the system. Software is what I want to add next. I'm going to add SQL Server to this one, and I'm going to add a fake license to that as well. Purchase price, monthly price. This is what you set for your customer if this is a customer system. So I'm going to hit add software. Now, when I go back to software, which there's a quick link right here to software and licenses, I'm going to click on software. You can now see that you can see the counts. The system, there's one system with Debian, one system with Server 2008, one system with SQL Server. So let's click on licenses, and you can see all your licenses here, and you can manage them too. If that license has a monthly cost, you can set it here, and it'll automatically calculate for your customer. So let's go back to Data Center Manager next, and I want to show you hardware. Let's add and value some hardware. So I'm going to do this by going to hardware, clicking there, and the links to add everything is up top here. So first, let's add some cases. It's an Antec Sonata IV. Say I got 3 of those. They're valued at $75 each. Purchase price, monthly price. You'll see these on most of these. That's free again for your customers. If you want to sell these to your customers, hit add case. And let's add a motherboard. Let's call this an Asus P5. Oops. P5. Let's call it an LE, and it is a 775. Say I got 3 of those. They're valued at, say, $40 each. Let's add a processor here. We'll call it an Intel Q8300. That is an LGA 775. I got 3 of those. Say those are valued at $50. Okay, memory. Let's call this one generic. Say DDR2, 2 GB. I have 3 of those, valued at $30 each. Add. Let's add a hard drive. Now let's do Maxter. Three of those, valued at $25. Okay, now that I got 1 of each, there's a filter up here. You can filter to show just, say, motherboards. If you start adding a bunch of this might come in handy. It does for me. Or all hardware. Also, you can search up here It'll search your hardware right there. So let's go back to the home page and click on Systems to, you'll see the value up here. It automatically calculates all that value of that hardware. But let's assign the hardware to the system. So I'm going to click on Systems and let's say Server 1. It has, I'm going to click on Case. It doesn't have a case, so I'm going to add System Case. I'm going to go through all my cases, which in this case I only have one. So I'm going to assign that case to this system. I'm going to assign the only motherboard I have. And you can also keep track of your serial numbers. This has installed processor, Intel. You can see this one's different motherboard. Since you can only have one motherboard, one case, the layout's different. This will allow you to install multiple processors if the board supports it, multiple memory, multiple hard drives. Installed memory and installed hard drive. Okay, so now I know what this system has. So I'm going to click on hardware here and you can see the counts. See 1 of 3. Now if you also click on the hardware link here, you can see which systems have this installed in it. And it'll give you a, the count here, one system, valued at 120. This value here is the value of all 3 of those motherboards. So let's go back to the Data Center Manager here, and I'm going to show you clusters now. Okay, to manage your clusters, you're obviously going to click on Clusters. And up here, Add New Cluster. I'm going to call it Cluster 1. And since I only have one IP address left, I'm only going to do one cluster. So I'm going to hit Add Cluster. And here's your count, 0. Now I'm going to click on this cluster and I'm going to add a couple systems to this cluster. So I'll click up here. Now this also does, like, let me show you here. Add system 1 to this cluster and add system 2. See, it takes it out since it's assigned to it, so it only shows what its systems are available. Hit add system 2. So now you know you have these systems assigned to this cluster. It's fairly simple. That's pretty much the cluster manager. Alright, now I want to show you spots. This is where you're going to keep track of all the rooms, all your rows, all your racks. So you get there by clicking on spots, and when you get here you're going to see our recommended spot naming formats. If you just read through this to help you out. Or you can come up with your own, however you want to do it. But to add a new room, you're going to go up here and click Add New Room. And I'm going to call mine room R1. And now that you'll see the recommended things are gone because I have a room in here. So I want to add some racks to this room. So I'm going to click on the room name. And let's say I got a row of racks, so I'm going to use a row. And let's say I've got 2 rows, two groups of rows, and one's north, one's south. So I'm going to call my first one North 1. And let's add another row. Let's call it North 2, so you can kind of get an idea of how this works. Let's do South 1. So I've got, in this room, I have a group, North group with 2 rows, and South group with 1 row. So let's add racks to R1, N1. I'm going to call this rack 1. Let's say it's got 20 spots. Okay, I'm going to go back. Alright, I got to get there by spots. Click on this one. Now you'll see I have, in this row, I have 1 rack. I'm going to add another rack to that one so you can see how that works. Call that rack 2. Again, 20 spots. You can see I got 3 rows with 2 racks. 40 spots. So I'm going to add a rack to north. Add a new rack. Call that 1, 20 spots. Okay, spots. Now you can see I've got 3 rows, 3 racks, 60 spots, 60 free. So let's add a system to this row. Rack name R1 N2 rack 1. I'm going to add a system to that rack. Server 1, and we'll call that spot 1. It's going to be the first system in this rack. And spot span, now let's say you're using U's to define your racks, and say the server is a 4U, so it would span 4 spots. So you would change this to 4. But just for this example, I'm going to use bread rack and assume it's taking up 1 spot. Okay, now you can see if I go back to spots, it shows my capacity. I've got 60 spots available, 59 of them are free, 2% capacity. Click on that, it goes down and it does it even, it calculates everything by row. So you can see I've got 5% capacity for this row. If I click on the rack, it breaks it down even further. Now you can see this little amps thing here. This is pretty cool. Let me show you. I'm going to go to the Data Center Manager and show you how to assign spots using the System Manager. So I'm going to click on Systems. That one's assigned. I'm going to click on the system, and you'll see spots right here. So I'm going to assign this one to R1, North 1, North 1, North 2. Oh, it doesn't have South because I don't have any racks in South. So I'm going to assign this to spot 1 of North 1, 1. And span 1. And you'll see I already did the amps in this. Now let's go back to systems. Let's do server 3. That is going to be in R1 spot 2. And let's do 0.75 amps as well. I'm going to add this first. And then we're going to do 0.75 amps. Okay, now I'm going to go back to systems. And let's do the amps on this one. Okay, now let's go to spots. And it'll calculate everything. Let's see, 5% capacity, 57 free. Click on the row. I have 2 in rack, this row, and 1 in this row. So I'm going to click on this one, and you'll see 1.5 amps is being used for this rack. So it's a little confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it'll help you manage where systems are at within your data center. Alright, let me show you where you set your kilowatt hour rate and your volts used. Click on settings, and this is where you do that. This calculates, if you go to the systems manager, click on the systems, this is where those settings come into play here. This is the estimated energy cost per month. It'll take your amps and then automatically calculate what you're paying versus the volts you're using and give you an estimate. So that's that. Alright, now I want to show you maintenance tasks. To get there, you click on maintenance tasks, and if you want to add a new one, come up here and click add new maintenance task. Now let's say I want to do a memory test every year. So I want to go through all my servers and check all the memory. So I'm going to call this one memory test. I'm going to make this one recur once a year. I'm not going to set the next due date. Now that I have this, you can go through and assign each system to this task. You can either do it by clicking each system if you only want to do a couple, or you can just assign it to every operating system you have. It's an easy way to do bulk adding. Let me show you let me add another one here. Let's do like 2008 R2 updates. This one doesn't recur, so I'm going to just add that, and it's automatically going to flop over to, so it's going to show me all the systems with this task assigned to it. Now there's none there, so I'm going to assign all the servers that have server 2008 R2 web installed. I'm going to assign it to this task. So now you'll see it has all my systems there. Now what happens, how this is handy is, like, say you're in the middle of like doing a task and you get pulled away to go do something else, and it's not easy to keep track of where you're at in doing network maintenance, especially if you really have to get away to do something else. You don't have time to keep track of notes. So this is going to help you do that. So you've got this pulled up on another screen and you get done performing this task, you just click perform, and it will automatically put that system to the bottom of the task list. It orders by last performed. Now this is also handy, like say if you do regular tasks for your systems and you got to do them by the way they're assigned in clusters. It'll remember after the first time you go through it. It'll order them in the way that you've done the task throughout all the systems, and it's just easier to perform that task again once you've established the order in which you do them in. Now if I switch over to memory tests, you'll see I don't have any systems assigned to that, so let's say I want to choose server 1 and just assign that one. It'll say last performed, and then there will be an alert. I don't think I have that written yet. Okay, so I don't have that written yet, but I'm going to do that in notifications through my accounts, but it'll give you an alert to when that's due again. Alright, in closing here, let me explain this network monitor here, because that's the last thing that I have ready in this app. What this is going to do is it's going to go through your database of servers or systems, and it's going to ping them if they're marked online. And what that's going to allow you to do is, like say you're trying to troubleshoot where lag is in your network. You can pull up this network monitor and see the ping rates of all your systems online, and hopefully, see which one's causing the problem, get in there and fix it. You'll see this Customers Manager. This is a completely different app. I'm designing this so everybody in any industry can keep track of their customers, and then I'm going to integrate it into all these other apps, along with the billing, support, sales, marketing, etc. Bandwidth, electricity, remote hands, obviously all that's unique to this industry, so I still have to write those. IPv6 isn't online yet. I have no experience with IPv6, so I've got a small network in my basement. I'm not really managing a data center for customers, so I'm looking for people who manage data centers to partner with on this application to help me develop it and give me feedback and let me know what would help them to make this better and attract more people. Because as a developer, if I have data centers all over the world using this, I could log into this and get all my support through one interface and manage my network with every data center without having to remember like multiple logins. That's the whole reason I'm developing this, is because it's a real pain to have servers all over the place and have to log in and remember what data center requires what. So if you're interested in beta testing this for me, I'd be happy to have you do that. Just shoot me over an email and I'll get you set up, and we'll work together to get this written. The shop feature, what I want to do there is, if you sell the hardware manager, if you have hardware you want to sell, you just click it for sale, and then you could shop other data centers that have hardware and buy hardware, trade, sell, whatever with each other. I'll also do a forum. Feedback will be where you can suggest things. That's basically it. So thanks for watching.